Alex, I recently reread your piece on how the long, lucrative right-wing grift is now blowing up in all of our faces, and it holds up as well as the day it was published.
Thank you.
And he did ask what you're working on now. Maybe you can touch on that. We can get to that even more in depth later. But how does that fit? I mean, remind us basically of that long right wing. That was, I think, one of the most important pieces that came out that explained Trump and everything that's happening.
So let's. I will try to use maybe Anthony Kennedy as an example of this. The basic thrust of it, and this is how I've been sort of understanding the right for a while now, is that the original sort of point of building a parallel media and all these other parallel institutions was to whip up the base, make them stop paying attention to and stop trusting the mainstream media, and then eventually make them like ignore facts that are inconvenient to the right. So that's, Fox News was designed to lie to the rubes, just like Rush Limbaugh was out there to like tell the rubes what they needed to hear to get out and vote for Republicans. Then basically, over the course of a couple decades, like the Republicans stopped being the cynical manipulators and started being the people being manipulated themselves. And it's a closed circuit now. It's a completely closed circuit. And Trump is a guy who sort of started off very clearly, nakedly, cynically pretending to be a right-wing populist because he thought that was the way to get ahead. And he had quotes in the 2000s when he was more lucid where he would basically be like, you want to run like Pat Buchanan because then the crazies will vote for you. That's the way to get ahead in the Republican Party. So it all seemed like birtherism for him was, I think, originally done as this sort of like intentionally cynical campaign to build up his profile on the right.
Right.
But the other thing that happened is that
there's also those 2012. Some of Mitt Romney's people tried to dig this up in the primary, where they said, supposedly he would say. I'm paraphrasing. I don't remember but he would say stuff to them like, "You got to talk about, something like birtherism because the idiots love that."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Almost like literal quotes.
Yeah, like there are. Yeah, a lot of people have heard him saying things but I think it's pretty clear now that we have a guy who, like, has just become addicted to this shit and no longer views it from. So this Donald Trump used to, he read the newspaper every day. I know he was reading it to see if he was in it, but he read the New York Times, he read the New York Post, and he read the New York Daily News. That's a decent way to sort of know what's going on in the world. Now he DVRs Fox and Friends and watches Fox and Friends and believes what his Fox and Friends are telling him.
Right.
So that is like, that's one man's sort of journey into like being originally someone trying to sell snake oil to a consumer of snake oil. And that happened.
Even Susan Collins, right?
Right.
I mean, Susan Collins is a great example of that because I mean, obviously I don't like and you don't like.
Right.
No one has ever liked on Susan Collins, and she's not a moderate. That's a, the scale of rightward shift of American politics is awe-inspiring. So, moderates here, ultra to the right. But even watching her give that statement was like, whoa.
Right.
Like, I thought she was just some, like, right-wing hack negotiating keeping a seat in Maine.
Yeah.
But you watch that, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
She's another one. She's crazy, too.
Yeah. And
like, maybe Lisa Murkowski is the only one in that caucus that that's just, right-wing business peddler and not actually crazy.
I think that's true. And I